Audie Leon Murphy was born on June 20, 1925 in Kingston, Texas, into a large and struggling farming family. As the seventh of 12 children, he grew up in an environment shaped by poverty and constant uncertainty. His father abandoned the family during his early years, leaving his mother, Josie Bell Murphy, to raise the children alone while working as a sharecropper. Life during the Great Depression intensified their hardships, and food insecurity and unstable housing were regular realities. Murphy received only a limited formal education, leaving school after the 5th grade to help support his siblings. When his mother died while he was still a teenager, the family fractured further, forcing him into adulthood far earlier than most. These experiences forged a sense of discipline, resilience, and responsibility that would later define his identity. The hardships of his youth were not merely background details but became foundational to the determination and emotional intensity he carried throughout his life. From farm boy to reluctant soldier. When World War II escalated, Murphy initially attempted to enlist in the military, driven by both duty and economic necessity. However, he was rejected by the Navy and Marine Corps due to his slight build, standing around 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighing just over 110 pounds. Eventually accepted by the U.S. Army in 1942, he underwent basic training that tested his physical limits but revealed his mental toughness. Assigned to infantry units, Murphy quickly adapted to military life despite his size and youth. His determination to prove himself was fueled by his difficult upbringing and personal losses. He was deployed to North Africa and later moved through campaigns in Italy, France, and Germany. In combat, he developed a reputation for fearlessness and sharp tactical awareness. Fellow soldiers began to notice his instinctive leadership under fire. Though initially underestimated, Murphy's battlefield conduct demonstrated that courage and capability were not determined by physical stature. Battlefield heroism and the Medal of Honor action. Murphy's most legendary moment occurred on January 26, 1945, near Holtzwihr, France, during the final months of the war in Europe. Facing a heavily armed German assault, he ordered his men to withdraw, while he remained behind to hold the line. Climbing onto a burning tank destroyer, he used its .50 caliber machine gun to repel advancing troops despite being wounded and exposed. For over an hour, he directed fire and coordinated artillery strikes while under intense enemy pressure. His actions halted the German advance and saved numerous lives in his unit. This extraordinary display of bravery earned him the Medal of Honor at just 19 years old. By the end of the war, he had accumulated an extensive list of decorations, including multiple Silver Stars, Bronze Stars, and Purple Hearts. His military record became one of the most highly decorated of any American soldier in World War II, symbolizing exceptional courage under extreme conditions. Returning home and the weight of war. After the war ended, Murphy returned to the United States as a celebrated national hero, but his internal struggles were less visible. He experienced symptoms that would later be recognized as post-traumatic stress disorder, including nightmares, anxiety, and emotional withdrawal. At the time, these conditions were poorly understood, and he often suffered in silence. Despite public admiration, he found reintegration into civilian life difficult. Murphy began speaking later about the psychological toll of combat, becoming one of the early public figures to acknowledge such struggles among veterans. His fame led him toward Hollywood, where he sought both livelihood and distraction from wartime memories. His memoir, Coat to Hell and Back, eventually became the basis for a film adaptation in which he portrayed himself. The movie became a major success and helped shape his public identity as both a war hero and actor. Yet beneath the fame remained a man still grappling with the emotional aftermath of war. Hollywood stardom and cinematic identity. Murphy's transition into acting proved unexpectedly successful, and he appeared in more than 40 films over the course of his career. He became particularly associated with westerns and war dramas, genres that aligned with his rugged image and real-life military background. His most notable film, Coat to Hell and Back, reinforced his authenticity on screen and solidified his place in Hollywood. Despite his success, Murphy often expressed humility about his acting abilities, viewing himself more as a working performer than a traditional movie star. He also explored songwriting, contributing to country and western music projects that were recorded by prominent artists of the era. His performances were often characterized by a quiet intensity rather than theatrical flair. This grounded approach made him appealing to audiences who viewed him as a genuine figure rather than a fabricated celebrity persona. Hollywood provided financial stability and recognition, but it did not fully replace the structure and clarity he had known in military life. Western films, television work, and expanding influence. Throughout the late 1950s and early 1960s, Murphy became a recognizable figure in Western cinema, appearing in films that emphasized moral conflict, frontier justice, and survival. He worked alongside well-known actors and directors, building a steady reputation within the genre. His roles often portrayed stoic, disciplined characters that reflected aspects of his own personality and experiences. In addition to film, Murphy expanded into television, appearing in anthology series and guest roles that introduced him to a wider audience. These appearances demonstrated his adaptability to new entertainment formats as television became increasingly dominant. He also participated in military-related programming, including appearances in informational series designed to connect the public with armed forces activities. His involvement in such projects reflected both his personal patriotism and ongoing ties to military identity. While never seeking celebrity status, Murphy became a consistent presence in American popular culture, bridging the gap between real-life heroism and entertainment storytelling. Civic service and military advocacy. Beyond entertainment, Murphy maintained a strong connection to military service and veteran advocacy. He frequently participated in public awareness campaigns focused on the needs of returning soldiers. His openness about psychological trauma helped reduce stigma around combat-related stress during a period when such discussions were rare. Murphy also worked with military outreach programs, lending his name and presence to initiatives aimed at improving public understanding of defense operations. His participation in educational military series highlighted technological advancements and global deployments of the U.S. Army. In recognition of his contributions beyond combat, he received civilian honors for his service in promoting military awareness. Despite his fame, he consistently identified with ordinary soldiers rather than celebrity culture. His public role became a blend of advocacy, storytelling, and representation of veterans' experiences. This period reinforced his image as someone committed not only to personal success, but also to broader institutional and national causes. Creative partnerships and Western genre expansion. Murphy's career in Hollywood was shaped significantly by collaborations with writers, producers, and directors who specialized in Western narratives. These partnerships resulted in a series of films that explored themes of survival, loyalty, and moral ambiguity. He worked with multiple screenwriters who tailored roles to his understated acting style, allowing him to portray characters grounded in realism rather than exaggeration. His involvement in production decisions also increased over time, reflecting a growing interest in shaping storytelling rather than merely performing. Films during this period often placed him in morally complex situations, such as portraying lawmen, outlaws, or individuals caught between conflicting loyalties. These roles allowed him to explore darker emotional territory while maintaining his signature restrained performance style. Although he never fully transitioned into a behind-the-scenes Hollywood figure, his influence within the Western genre became increasingly evident. By the late 1960s, his presence in film had helped define a particular era of American Western cinema. Personal life, marriage, and family stability. Murphy's personal life included both periods of instability and attempts at long-term stability. His first marriage to actress Wanda Hendricks attracted public attention but ended in divorce after a brief period, strained by personal pressures and emotional difficulties stemming from his wartime experiences. Shortly afterward, he married Pamela Archer, a former airline stewardess whose personality and lifestyle provided a calmer domestic environment. Together, they had 2 sons, Terry and James, and attempted to build a more grounded family life away from Hollywood turbulence. While his professional life remained public, Murphy often sought privacy in his home life, valuing normalcy and routine. His role as a father became increasingly important, offering a sense of continuity amid professional demands and lingering psychological challenges. Although not without difficulties, his second marriage lasted significantly longer and provided a stabilizing influence during his later years. Family life became one of the few areas where he experienced consistent personal grounding. Later career, decline of Westerns, and final roles. As the popularity of Western films began to decline in the late 1960s, Murphy's career also entered a transitional phase. He continued to work in film and occasional television appearances, but roles became less frequent as Hollywood trends shifted. Some of his later projects involved international filming locations and smaller productions, reflecting changes in the industry. He remained active professionally but increasingly distanced from major studio prominence. His final film projects marked the closing chapter of his acting career, with fewer large-scale opportunities available compared to earlier decades. Despite this decline, he maintained professional relationships within the industry and continued to be respected for his earlier contributions. The transition away from leading roles mirrored broader changes in American cinema, where westerns were no longer dominant. Murphy's legacy as an actor remained tied to his earlier successes, particularly his ability to bring authenticity to roles rooted in discipline and moral complexity. Death, plane crash, and official findings. On May 28, 1971, Audie Murphy died in a private plane crash in Brush Mountain, near Catawba, Virginia. The aircraft, a twin-engine Aero Commander, encountered poor weather conditions while flying at low altitude over mountainous terrain. Official investigations concluded that the crash resulted from a combination of pilot error and reduced visibility, leading to controlled flight into terrain. The sudden loss of Murphy shocked the public, as he was still widely recognized as one of America's most decorated war heroes. In the years following his death, speculation emerged regarding alternative explanations, fueled by inconsistencies in early reports and the circumstances of the flight. Some theories suggested external interference, while others pointed to mechanical failure or navigational mistakes. However, none of these claims were conclusively substantiated. The official explanation remained that the crash was a tragic accident, though public curiosity and debate persisted long after the incident. Speculation, investigations, and unverified claims. Over time, various theories emerged attempting to explain Murphy's death beyond the official findings. These ranged from alleged sabotage to claims involving surveillance or undisclosed government interests. Some independent researchers revisited available evidence decades later, examining wreckage reports, weather data, and witness statements using modern analytical tools. These efforts produced interpretations suggesting possible inconsistencies, though none reached definitive conclusions accepted by mainstream authorities. Additional claims referenced unnamed sources and supposed whistleblowers, but such accounts remained unverified. Historians generally treat these theories as speculative rather than factual, emphasizing the lack of conclusive physical or documentary evidence. The persistence of these narratives reflects Murphy's symbolic status as a national hero, where sudden and tragic death often generates alternative explanations. While public interest in unresolved aspects of the crash continues, no verified evidence has overturned the original determination of an accidental aviation disaster. Legacy, memory, and enduring historical impact. Audie Murphy's legacy remains deeply embedded in American military and cultural history. As one of the most decorated soldiers of World War II, his battlefield record continues to be studied as an example of extraordinary individual courage under extreme conditions. His post-war career in film further shaped public perception of veterans transitioning into civilian life, particularly during an era when psychological trauma was poorly understood. Murphy's willingness to speak about emotional struggles contributed to early awareness of combat-related mental health issues. In entertainment, his roles in westerns helped define a cinematic archetype of quiet resilience and moral determination. Despite later speculation surrounding his death, his historical significance is primarily rooted in documented military service and cultural contributions. His life story reflects the complexities of heroism, fame, and personal hardship. Today, he is remembered not only for battlefield valor but also for his influence on how veteran experiences are understood in public discourse.